before we go into the other side of what I wanted to talk about, because that's a little bit of unsuccess. So tell me about success online. What does that actually mean for people?
It really depends on your goals as a dater. Some people want casual relationships. Some people want serious relationships. Some people want to just connect with other people. So depending on your goals as you join a dating site, we really have a lot of different tools that cater to all the different types of daters that we have.
It's kind of like, how lonely are you?
Right.
And now how successful can we get from that
Yes,
point?
and how can we help you fill that void?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's for me anyway.
So how can people become more successful, like in being, in line with their goal? Obviously, that's the great thing for them to go on there and be clear about what their intentions are. But are there some things that people can do? Like you guys have given us this awesome list of things that have helped people with their profiles to become more successful. You did let me know beforehand that these are not just male things, of whether it's men and women, but they're still pretty, applicable to people who are using online. So something that I thought was really interesting was using food as an icebreaker. So people who mentioned guacamole got 144% more inbound messages.
It's because the phrase guac is extra is the hippest phrase right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not hip, so I don't know about these
hip.
things.
Like, you have to get out.
I'd be like, guac is extra. I'm not going to that place.
Yeah, like I feel like I've seen T-shirts that say guac is extra.
What does that mean?
So am I.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't even know what that means.
I know, Marnie.
What do you know what it means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means I'm extra, like I'm special. Whenever you're acting extra, it's like you're going overboard, or you're like show up to an
guac is
event
extra.
and it's a basketball game, but you're dressed in like a gown, so you're extra, and guac is extra.
I thought it was talking about that there's not very many avocados being produced right now,
true,
and so
and
therefore it's a
actually-
higher price for avocados.
Yeah, so that's another whole
Must be where it
topic.
comes
true.
from.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Okay, so that makes sense. Fine. How about this one? People who mention potatoes get 101% more inbound messages. Potatoes.
Potatoes is a funny word. I feel like it's because it's a funny word.
It's because it's a funny word. It's
How
also
are people
because
mentioning potatoes in their
Look at these potatoes.
yeah, maybe that's what they're saying. That I understand then.
I would
Okay.
call mine small potatoes.
Small potatoes. Okay, fine. Then I get that. There's some interesting things. So people who say chocolate and foodie and cook or vegan.
But I
even.
do feel like there's a point where those get too cliche and too expected. So if you're like, I'm a foodie, and eventually it's like you see so many of those profiles of people putting in, I think sometimes what they think other people want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
So dudes will be like, women want a guy who's strong, and so I'll show them pictures of me rock climbing, and then skydiving,
I'm a vegan.
I'm adventurous, and I'm a vegan. And then you start
Walk on the
seeing
side.
those too much, and it doesn't come across genuine.
Yeah, it's just like all the profiles that say, I love hiking and I love outdoors and yoga. It starts to just kind of like
Become
make
nothing to
those
people,
things
right?
mean nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys could stop using those words. So I use them, and they're special when I use them.
Right, but nobody else can use them.
Right, exactly.
Not one of the 40 million people that are using your dating site can
That's
use
right.
them. But what are other things that maybe aren't on this page that you have seen to be driving success for people online? Like, is there an attitude that people can have when using online, or like a filter? Because we were talking before with the girl that was doing our makeup before coming on.
We don't have any makeup on. This
my
is
makeup. Kristen did her own.
No, this
is
no
my makeup.
I'm fresh faced.
She's coming onto the show in the second half, but it was interesting that she was just talking about like how her pictures don't really represent her. They're kind of like bitchy and they're kind of prissy, she says, and she's like, but I'm really like an outgoing, fun girl. And I'm like, well, so then why don't you have those pictures up there? And so I think it's the same thing for a lot of men. I don't think people represent themselves well online because they pull from the pictures that they have, and then in their profile, like you were saying before, they tend to lean towards not making it more generic, but they tend to try to please people to get the most amount of people to be interested in their profile. So is there a mindset and a way that people can use and utilize online dating that can help them, number one, get better results, and number two, appear to be their most awesome, genuine selves online?
Yeah, it's a hard question. It's something that we really think about a lot, and how can we help facilitate this process for our members, because it can be hard, especially if you've never online dated. You don't even know how to set up a profile, right? So I think Some of the things that where we see our daters be most successful are kind of stepping outside and looking at their profile, setting up their profile as an outsider. So like looking at their profile and saying, what would I want to see? Who would I swipe right on? Who would I click yes on? Who would I like? And kind of setting up their profile from that perspective. So choosing a photo, not just a photo that, well, this is what I have on my computer, so
Right.
this is what I'm going to upload. But
From
like,
1996.
would you like that photo? Would you swipe right on that photo? And so looking at your photos and from this perspective, and then same thing with what you're saying about yourself, how you're presenting yourself. You want to convey who you really are. You don't want to just generate a bunch of, matches and then go on a date and then that person just doesn't even know you.
Yeah,
You want people to see the authentic side of you.
Right.
I mean, authentic is a buzzword, but it's a big thing that people are craving on online dating.
Yeah. I think in my experience, if I'm online dating, like if I actually am logged on and doing it, I'm usually doing it when I'm feeling lonely or depressed. And so that's a really bad time to do it, because then what happens is I pile up all these matches,
Yeah.
and then I go back and it's almost like I sober up. And I'm like, oh, no, these are not the right people for me. And
Well,
I
that's
could
good that you do that because a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I have matched immediately with somebody and immediately started talking when I was in that sad, like lonely zone. And then, of course, it's gone nowhere. Either we've had like a mediocre date or a bad date or not gone out at all. But what I had to do was I've actually erased all of any online dating or dating apps for myself personally right now. And because I was doing it in a bad frame of mind, so
It's like your new ice cream.
Yeah, it's like overdoing it. Like, I love McDonald's, but if I ate McDonald's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would eventually
Burn out
hate
on it.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but that's how much I love McDonald's.
Well-
but now I'm putting it away for several months. I told myself, like, 2 months, put it away, and then I'll go back more fresh or fresher.
Yeah, which I think is a good idea
So,
to take
yeah.
a break sometimes. I actually got an email, but I was reading to Kristen on the flight up here that this guy was saying, I don't think I'm into women anymore. And he said, I'm not into men. I'm just like, I'm over women. And the more that I go online or I read newsletters from other people saying what to do with women, I like get more discouraged and burnt out. And it's similar advice to what you just said, sort of give yourself that break and then come back when you're fresh and you're not going to utilize it as like a crutch for yourself.
Yeah.
One thing that I actually tell people that don't get mad at me for saying this, but so I tell the guys that I work with to go sign up as a fake profile for a woman and just see what other guys are putting out there and
I
see
can
what
only
you find
imagine
appealing. I know
the
they pick
profiles
like
they're
the
making.
I know, like the trashiest girl
like
pictures.
it was like a girl from Maxim.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, and then they also see what guys are sending to them and like what they're put off by. Because I think like that is a really good exercise just for others to see what is going on out there and kind of what you said. Go see what pictures you would want to respond to. It's the same thing on the opposite side to see like from a female point of view what would be appealing to you and like what other guys throw at you that you may have been doing as well that doesn't feel so wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm sure that throws
Actually,
off a lot of your data
people,
and stuff.
A lot of people unofficially do that as a way to check out the competition as
Yeah.
well, and also just to kind of get tips on what makes a good profile. How am I comparing to the people out there?
That's great.
But yeah, it's a thing that we actually get a lot of requests for. Like, can I switch and see what's on the other side? And
I wonder if you could just give them like free access to like some profile that's already set up.
you
that
can set up
somebody's
a
done.
second profile
you
and kind of do that. Yeah,
Sneaky.
there's definitely ways to do that. Yeah,
Well, that's interesting.
And then when you do make that profile, use the words guacamole, potatoes, and chocolate.
that's
And you
right.
will- and foodie and vegan, and you will be a
Married
master.
within a month.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully
What a
impregnated. So I have no idea. I have no idea. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was part of what you guys are really big on at Zeus, is safety.
Yeah.
And the reason that safety has been coming up right now, in the media, things have been happening where there's a lot of unsafe
Every day.
environments. It's crazy. Like my husband was even saying the other day, like people are just going to get numb to it. And I was like, not really. It's like I'm not surprised by all of these people coming out. And and Kristen and I were having a conversation on the plane about like how it is just so tough to navigate this area because some people don't speak up and say things are uncomfortable, and people do things because they think they have a certain level of friendship, and then it's just there's like all these fine lines where people are becoming very very paralyzed right now. And I wanted to read an email that I got, and then I want to talk about it just from your point of view of what you're seeing as well, and then just talk a little bit more about how to help men navigate this new space. It's shocking how many powerful men in the media nowadays are being fired, and rightfully so, because of sexual harassment against women they work with. It seems that every morning we turn on the news, another news anchor is being let go. A lot of men I know are now talking about this issue privately with their male friends. A lot of us are good men who would never hurt a woman physically, or say something hurtful or disrespectful. Yet we believe in being men by politely telling a woman how we feel in a nice way if we think she's attractive or if we're talking to her and feel a connection. We are perfect gentlemen, but we are also men, and we want to let a nice woman know how we feel about her. We are concerned about how bad this issue could get and the fact that good guys like us will not be able to approach women anymore in fear of being accused of harassing them. Imagine a few years from now sitting in a nice restaurant or bar on a night out with your women friends and not having any straight guys to meet. It should never come to this. It's too bad that good guys like us, good-looking, confident, intelligent, and gentlemen first, are getting a bad rap because of the few jerks who get all the press. And then he said, you can use this email, but don't use my name.
Jerk.
Signed,
No. Not jerk.
Gentlemen. So this is what's going on for a lot of guys. And I've gotten, like hundreds of other emails that are very similar to this, where guys are just saying, I do not know what to do. Like, I'm fearful to approach. I'm fearful to put my hand on somebody's shoulder. I'm fearless. So I wanted to talk about, we've talked about it on our show before, but maybe from the view of the online space as well, from your point of view, just like how do guys not shy away from still going after what they want and still be respectful in today's climate? Like,
Sure.
What do you think is really harassment or sexual assault? Like, where is that line?
Yeah, it is a really hard topic, and I can empathize with how the good guys feel with all of these different stories coming out. It makes you really uneasy, and it's for men and women. It makes you uneasy. I think, it's natural to feel fear after you hear about all these different people being, questioned, and all of these people being fired from their jobs.
Yeah.
But I think basically it comes down to a matter of like basic rules of human interaction. I think that there's a mutual respect that gets created as you build a connection with people, and then you pick up on cues that show that somebody has interest in you.
Well, that's the difficulty, because so many guys are like, I can't spot these cues. Obviously, they're not seeing something.
Yeah.
To so many of us, like me, because I'm
You're a
very
cue
smart.
master,
I'm
obviously.
cue master.
Just constantly judging and analyzing
Seems
people.
like common sense. And so then Marnie will pipe in and say something like, well, actually, guys can't see these things. And it's
And
almost
sometimes
like,
girls can't see them either.
we talked about this a long time ago. Men see, like, I don't know if it was like 3 shades of red, and women see 7 shades of red. So women are naturally more perceptive, and so we can pick up on those cues, where guys, it's almost like they're blind in certain ways. And in a way, I feel like that's giving them an excuse, and at the same time, there's some merit to it, probably.
Yeah. Well, I would make the distinction between not picking up on cues, in a great way, and then asking somebody out who actually has no interest in you, versus making repeated and unwanted requests and advances towards somebody who already said, I'm not interested. I think that there's a big distinction between that. If
And
you
what if
ask
she's not
somebody,
saying, I'm not interested? Because most often, a lot of women are not saying these things out loud. So I was telling Christian this story. So we went up to Palm Springs last week, and this is horrible that I'm saying this, but I won't say exactly who it is. Anyway, somebody who's very close to my husband, who I absolutely love and adore, gets a little touchy sometimes. And I don't like it. I do not like it. It makes me uncomfortable.
What's his phone number?
Yeah, exactly. I'll show you after. It's on my Twitter feed. And it makes me uncomfortable. But for that slight second, it makes me uncomfortable. And then once it's over, I'm okay with it. And but I don't like it. But I'll never say anything because I don't like it. But I tense up when he does it. I make an awkward joke when he does it. So I'm not really saying something, but in my mind, I am saying something.
But what you were saying earlier when we were coming up here was that you don't say something because you don't want to kill the fun.
Yeah, I don't want to kill the fun.
It's like the vibe
it's meant to be fun.
It's meant to be playful. And I think, I mean, I'm very, my opinion is probably not the popular opinion on the topic, but I think that there's scales of this harassment, and everyone needs to remember that this guy playfully having fun with you, his intent most likely isn't a malicious intent. And so I think you have to take the intent behind the action and not just what the action is. Yeah. Because if he's out to actually hurt you and to have power over you and to make you feel demeaned, then that's a thing that you can quote on Facebook, me too. But if the guy's just being fun and it's the energy and the vibe and you are smiling and everything, I feel like you have to be reasonable and know that he's a human being and likes to maybe have touch and have those connections, and you might not, but I don't think going apeshit over it is the right response. I think you have to have a little flexibility with these guys because they're confused now. Like, they don't know what to do.
Yeah. So I think
I'm confused for them.
For the guy who wrote into us, like, I think that he's saying, okay, his fear is that you're going to walk into a bar and it's like literally going to be men and women on separate sides of the bar, not interacting with each other.
It's like a lifelong 8th grade dance.
Exactly. But like that, I don't think anybody is saying don't approach me. Like that approaching me is harassing me. Approaching me, and if I say to you, I have a boyfriend, or no, I'm done right now, or I'm talking to my girlfriend, and you continue as you said, then that's when you become like a harasser in some way, and it becomes uncomfortable. But I will say, on the plane today with that guy who was talking to us, like every time he would walk by us, he was like the flight attendant.
He said, "I'm just flirting with these girls."
Yeah,
and it was cute and playful, and like I in no way would be harassed by that. Maybe Ashley Judd would be like, "This flight attendant's harassing me," but he was just being nice and cordial and wanted to create a conversation and have a connection. He didn't get creepy. He didn't ask for our phone numbers, and that's where I feel like women need to be a little forgiving. The guy, he's 57, single for 30 years, he said, and was a nice person that you're not going to see again. So why you try to create a problem from that? Just let him be nice and be friendly and be complimentary to you, and then move on with your day. Yeah, because he didn't cross any boundaries.
But I did feel like the subtle signal that I was giving to him was, I'm going to go back. Like, I kept steering myself back to talk to Kristen. So these are like the subtle signals that men may not be picking up on.
And he was not picking up on that.
Yes, and then he kept coming back. And like every time we would be in conversation, he'd stand beside us, and we'd take a second to go look over at him, and we'd look like this.
And also, actually, what's funny is, I'm not going to equate this to what I want to, but I told him I didn't want any water. I was fine.
And he shoved that down your throat. He was overhydrating you.
Yes, and I was
what
like,
an assaulter. He was horrible.
I took 1 or 2 sips, and he came back and gave me more water. And so that's when a dude's not paying attention and he's not listening. Like, those weren't cues. I actually said no. I don't want.
She said, I don't like to hydrate myself on a plane.
For something else right now. Like I said, I actually don't want water. And he was like, well, too bad you're getting water. And so, like, if I can see,
oh my God, you were assaulted.
Like him could possibly, maybe, offend somebody.
Yeah. I think it's that repeated and unwanted is where it crosses a different line.
Yeah. So the biggest sign is to see that somebody's reciprocating back. That they're not just responding to your conversation, they're actually engaging in your conversation. So that if a woman isn't saying it straight out, like, go away, or I have a boyfriend, or I have to go somewhere, I'm just talking to my friend, if they're saying it more casually, then that's when it's okay. I don't think it's ever going to lead to men. I don't think it should ever lead to men not approaching in general, because that's a big waste for everybody. And I don't think women are saying don't approach me. They're just saying, if I don't want to be approached after you approached, I'm going to let you know, and please stop doing it afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that you actually bring up a good point that as women in those situations, sometimes you do have to have the uncomfortable conversation, and it may just be the fear that we have of, like, rejecting somebody.
It is the fear we have of rejecting somebody.
It's the fear we have, but in more cases than not, people can take it, actually, and they appreciate. I mean, we actually have customers who have asked, like, I just wish that the woman would just tell me she's not interested, because most people do like just the ghosting thing, right?
Yep.
It's just basic human respect that people are asking for, and sometimes it's not going to feel great in the moment, but most people, I think, most mature people will appreciate it.
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. What are some tips that you can give to men that maybe would say to a man, I'm not really interested, but I'm going to continue responding back to your messages to be polite? So what is a way that she's kind of saying, like, please stop, not interested?
From what I see, most women start to kind of trail off. Isn't there a term for that?
Oh no, I don't. Is there?
I think
Gradual ghosting? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's like a gradual ghosting process. They start to kind of give you like one-word answers.
zombie human.
So I think
Purgatory? I don't
what you're
know.
looking for is a change in their messaging behavior, right? So if they were really chatty initially, they were writing all these details, and then all of a sudden they start kind of just writing okay or K, that's even worse. She's probably lost some interest because of something.
No
Yeah.
idea that K was a bad thing.
It's
and
super
I say
offensive.
K all the time.
So
That's
offensive.
My thing is K.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone told me that it's a negative thing. So anyway,
Yeah.
Well, it's if you say
cool
K
down
and then LOL and then, oh, that's nice,
Yeah, but
and then a
just
smiley
K
face.
is-
Like K and then you continue talking is
and I'm
totally
offended 'cause
fine.
My name starts with a K, and I
Right,
really don't want my
exactly.
letter to have a bad rap.
I hear you. You got the Kardashians. You're already winning in that department.
That's
so it's
true.
fine. Yeah, losing. Exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
So tell me more about safety and like what guys can do to help women feel safe in this space. So both online and like moving things to
Yeah.
Show her
offline.
your condoms and your gun.
Yeah.
Like, you're safe.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely something that we spend a lot of time thinking about, because it's there's something about digital communication and online dating that creates this false sense of comfort, I would say. And
Well, there's walls between you, so you're not
well,
real
yeah,
people
and
yet.
also you just feel like you're close to somebody from reading their profile or seeing their pictures, or you see a picture of them with their friends, and so you feel like
Well,
you know
apparently
them.
not. That's not a good thing to do. Don't have a
Well,
picture with your friends.
not your primary photo,
right.
right?
That's fair.
But so you feel comfortable, and so I think that's sometimes what I see on my end as far as men. They tend to jump too quickly because of that implied connection
yeah.
and comfort. Yeah, so they'll turn the conversation sexual very quickly, and that's just, I mean, that's the majority of the harassment reports that we review.
Oh, so okay. I didn't even know that you got
Yeah.
reports of this. Okay.
Yeah, we get reports of this and we handle them. You know, we really take them
You guys get
seriously.
turned on, you know, you're like, ooh.
Absolutely
That's
not.
kinda Steal it for yourself.
write that
Text
down?
it to your husband.
Yeah,
I'm into
so
this guy.
We do get some reports of it, and we take it really seriously because we know it's one of the worst experiences you can have on online
Yeah.
dating.
Yeah. I had a situation, and this is why women get uncomfortable calling them out. And it was a while ago, so my memory isn't very clear on it. But the guy so I do stand-up comedy, so I think when men hear that, they're
You can't really tell right
You
now.
can't tell. I'm not funny whatsoever, and that's kind of my shtick. When I'm on stage, it's just not funny. But I think when guys approach a woman on there and then they figure out, oh, she's kind of cool or whatever, they do jump quickly, like you said. But for me, occasionally I'll get guys that try to make jokes. And they're not funny. Like when you're trying to be funny, you're not going to be funny. And this one guy immediately started to try to make jokes, but they were all dick jokes.
Yeah.
Every
I forgot
single
you
one.
told us about this.
And
yeah.
I told him, I eventually, and they were like aggressive. And I'm not like the type to offend. I don't like go, oh, how dare you? But it was so quick and it was so uncomfortable. And I said to him, dude, because I didn't write back. And he's like, oh, you're one of those? Like one of those, like I'd be offended? I wrote, no, I'm not one of those. I'm just actually offended because the joke was so unfunny.
Right.
Like it wasn't the dick material. But I told him to stop. And then he kept doing it.
Yeah.
And it got really, really uncomfortable. And he made me feel like an uptight prude. And it was, and that's not the case. I'm like, it's not the case, baby. I'll
Yeah,
show
you're like,
you.
I am a whore and a half.
But anyway, that was really upsetting. And that was the real one time that I had this kind of almost like sexual harassment
Yeah.
from a
Yeah,
dating app.
where it gets
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Again, it's this repeated and unwanted. I didn't mean to say that so many times, but I think that
true, though. You're
the
right.
more that I think about it, that's actually where it really crosses into harassment.
Right.
It's, you know,
because I
that
already told
he
him
might
no
think that
once.
that's your humor, or you made a joke about something like that, so he thought, I can do it too. But once you've said no, and once you've said like, hey, that's not what I want to talk about, if he continues, I think that's where women start to feel unsafe. That's where women start to feel like, okay, you're not respecting.
So I was like,
The
so what time are we
boundaries,
going
right.
out?
Yeah.
What do you say?
So I was just instantly like, so what time are we going out?
Yeah, right.
It's not the way to get a girl to go out with you.
Right.
No,
And then
definitely
to
not.
shame her afterward.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing that we get reports of is when the woman is forthright and says like, hey, I'm not interested, a lot of times men take it very personally. They take the rejection very personally, and they may call the woman a name or just get very upset or start to insult them. And so just kind of knowing that it's not personal and that actually they are respecting you and telling you the truth and not wasting your time. I think just kind of changing your mind about what a rejection means.
Right. So how do men navigate around this space? Because let's say that women are having tons of these experiences, or even one experience with one man who is like that, right? So their guard's going to be up a little bit more.
Have you guys seen these RX bars that have been floating around everywhere lately? Well, if you haven't, and you've been living under a rock, because they are absolutely everywhere, and they're absolutely everywhere because they are absolutely amazing. So what they are is they are the cleanest snack bars. I'll call them a snack bar because they're not protein bars that I have ever had in my life and ever seen. Most snack bars I can't actually eat because I eat paleo, but these RX bars are the cleanest. They have no chemicals added, no preservatives, nothing. They're basically just egg whites, a nut, and some dates, and no BS. That's all that they have inside, and then they are amazing filling snack that you can carry around with you very easily in these really cool packaging. Anyway, I want you to try these out. So go to rxbar.com/wants and enter code WANTS at checkout. It's really simple, very easy. Go do it now. rxbar.com/wants and enter code WANTS, WANTS, and get some of these. They're good for your body.
So how do guys walk into that space, interacting with women who are bombarded? And I'm sure there's many examples on the other side as well. Or are there examples on the other side where men are, flagging women for harassing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It happens, at a much slower rate, but it definitely happens. People are people, and
Right.
women
And they
can
get
be
hurt.
offensive too. Yeah, definitely.
So what can guys do so that they're not like, I want to be very careful. I'm going to ask you at every stage, are you comfortable with this? Like, how do you take away that robotic, inauthentic version of themselves, but still respect that they may have had these situations with other men? So understanding that there is a guard up there, and you may not have an answer for it, but it's like, how do you finesse? And I think that's the gritty area that people are confused by, because they're like, okay, I get that you just may have had your ass slapped 4 times today. I'm not going to slap your ass, but I'm going to approach you. And you're going to be stiff and cold at first, and I'm going to still keep trying to talk to you. But how do I know when to stop? Or how do I, it's that confusing area for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really hard. I think that
I stay home.
No, I think there's definitely a way to do it. The way that I've seen male our members that where they achieve success is in being cautious themselves, right? So you don't want to be overly cautious where you're not authentic anymore. You're not really having a real conversation. That's an extreme, and you're not going to get to know anybody that way. But you can be cautious and recognize that you don't know that person yet. You don't. And you've seen their photos, and sure, you've matched, and there's a heart around your pictures, but you don't know the person yet. And so I think a good tip is how would you talk to this person if you were talking to them in real life? I think that's a really good way to monitor yourself, or kind of find a way to not end up in uncomfortable situations, because that's that's usually what we see is people feel so comfortable, they're behind this computer, and so they say things that they would never say in person, right?
Or how would, if it is in person, like, how would you talk to this woman if, like, your friend's girlfriend was watching?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, because you still want to be kind of fun. I don't want to say sisters watching, because then you're, like, prude as anything. But you can still have fun, where it's still like, okay, I still want to be respectful, but I can still joke around with this person in front of me. That's actually a really good way to think about it,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think that's good. Well, thanks for talking to us about this stuff, about like safety,
course.
success online. Again, you are the VP of Customer Success right here at Zoox.
Thank you both for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And now it's going to take you 20 minutes to get out of the seat.
totally is, and
And
it's
we're
gonna
going to
be
have
awkward.
Lindsay come talk with us, who did our makeup and was not supposed to be on this today, but she was chatting up
It's a great middle.
before doing this. And you were telling us about your online dating experience.
yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, you walked in and you were like,
Like, I hate dating. I hate
you were
Bumble.
like, F this, man. Yeah.
Dating.
And we're like, we get
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So tell us some of the things that are going on with you and just dating. 'Cause
So stay
you gotta
really,
stay really
really
close.
tight on the mic. You're going to want to be like
Okay.
half a inch.
Right there?
So
Yeah.
for everyone on Facebook, hey, we're taping a podcast as well, and that's why we're using these mics.
yeah.
So
And our face is being blocked. Yeah.
that's a good thing.
So I feel I'm about to be 30, and dating for me right now is, it's pretty much a nightmare. I think the apps are really, you can't tell a person's swag or like the way that their energy or aura is whenever you see just photos of them. And I always get different ideas of who they'll be. And then they're just not that person. I feel like a lot of people are expecting things as well, especially if they pay for my dinner. That's a lot of things I've found. And
Yeah, it's like you didn't buy me a new car. Like it was
Yeah,
a
buy me a
steak.
car, then we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like it was just dinner.
it was just dinner, and usually it's definitely not a steak. It's usually some, I don't know.
Right.
So the interesting thing that I thought was really interesting that you were saying to me before was that you are going to stop being so open, because you said you being open and friendly was attracting either the wrong kind of people, or it was pulling certain people in that you didn't want to give your time to anymore. So can you tell me a little bit about that? Because you're saying you don't want to be so nice anymore.
Yes. So I work at a bar, and even just on my daily, I feel like just walking down the street, I'm a very confident person, and I want to look open and inviting and just like a kind, friendly person. But I also feel like that's invited a lot of people into it that are approaching me, hollering at me constantly. And also the fact that guys think that hollering at you, even from across the street, like you would even talk to them, that blows my mind in every sense
I
of the
would.
way.
Well, it's a Seinfeld bit where he's
Right.
like, "What do you think we're gonna like? The women are just gonna kick off their heels and start chasing you down the street? Like, wait, you beeped."
Yeah, it's so nuts. And or even at the bar, like just guys that leave me their numbers, or just are really kind of a very aggressive, just because I'm just friendly with them. I had a customer the other day. He literally slapped my butt, and I turned around and I had to straight up threaten him. And it took our friendly conversation.
You're honestly, right now, if you're slapping women's butts right now with all the news that's going on, you are
Yeah.
the dumbest human that's ever
Right.
lived.
That's how I felt. I was
oh,
like, "What are you
hello,
doing?"
Harvey.
Yeah.
Dummy. Like, out of all times, you just don't do it right now, especially. I mean, don't do it in general,
Yeah.
obviously, but right now.
It's
Yeah.
exactly the way I felt. And it turned our whole entire friendly situation, because I enjoyed serving him, into something super negative, and everybody else in the bar saw it. So then it made me feel like people that didn't see him slap me, then they just see me yelling at him. So then I just look like
The crazy lady.
and I look rude, and I look just mean, and I definitely can have that. I work at a bar, so you have to be you have to stand and hold your own.
I worked at a bar. I was not mean at all. I was like, do whatever you want to me. Just let me get out of here by 2 a.m. I was like, anyway.
But
That's the interesting thing, because you're saying you're being open and friendly. So I want to understand the distinction, because for some men, and this goes hand in hand with what we were talking before. So how do they know? I mean, never slap somebody's ass unless she goes, you put your hand on my ass right now and do it. Like, make this movement with your arm. Like, give me
Yeah.
direct instructions to do that. Even then, I would still not do it. Like, these guys are afraid to initiate anything, because women are being open and friendly with them. And then if they're like, whoa, I don't want to get this wrong at all and misconstrue what you're doing, like how do they pick up on friendly versus I'm flirting with you, or I'm curious about you in that way, or there is some attraction? What are those differences?
I think the big thing that's happening right now is people aren't reading the correct energies of what's actually happening.
How do you read an energy?
I mean, some people are better at others. Just
Okay,
like
so for people who are not good, how do they read an energy? Because these are words that women will use. Like,
Of course.
read my energy, you read my cues. I can't. That's why I'm confused as hell. That's why I have a business. So how, like, if you were to spell it out for somebody throughout the night, like after this guy slapped you, if you would say, I did this, I did this, I did this, how the hell did you not see these things? So what are those things that you would have done to show him this is purely platonic and I'm serving you a drink, rather than just putting a drink in front of you? So how do you
does he
relay
see the
that?
difference?
How does he see the difference?
How does he see the difference? I just feel like I just feel like people need to just get smarter. I'm serving you beers at a bar. Okay, that is what the relationship is. If you want to ask me out on a date, you can absolutely ask me out on a date, and then we can get friendlier from there. But how do you not know that I literally work here?
Right.
Like,
And you're supposed to be friendly.
you are just.
Like you were actually just another person on the street, and you saw him go into the bar to get a drink, and you were like, you know what? I need a job in there right now to give
Right.
this guy a drink, so he slaps my ass.
Yes.
Right?
And
Like that's their thinking. And also I think they have a little power over you because they are paying you and they are tipping you. So they feel like right now you are mine and I can do with you as I please because
I don't- okay,
I'm
so
gonna
for a
tip you.
lot of the
and
guys-
that's just that messed
Yeah.
up way people think. I don't think
Of course.
But I would say most often these guys who are writing in these questions saying we are gentlemen, we are respectful, they're not thinking, I've got the power. They're thinking, listen, this girl just told me something personal about herself. Yes, she is being friendly and maybe she's a very open, talkative. Listen, I'm an open, talkative person. I will talk to anybody about anything, even if I was standing behind a bar, right?
Here, I think this is the biggest deal. We need to go back to manners. I feel like men have lost complete manners. Like nobody has any manners. Open up the door for me. Start doing those things, and I feel like that. If you just are a respectful person that has manners, like you can't go wrong. And I feel like women, I'm definitely about that.
But men are hearing that can go wrong, which I think is super sad because a guy will open a door for a woman and she'll be offended.
Well, of course. I mean, there's
guys
going to
don't
be
know.
women that are just as rude as
Right.
there are men.
And what I've said in the past is stay away from those women. 'cause
Just
they're
stay
not the
away,
right
yeah.
woman for you. So
Absolutely.
if she says, no, I don't want you to open the door for me, I'm offended, then you don't want to date this woman. Do you know, if opening a door for a woman was hell and that's a 5-second span, imagine what dating her would be like.
it would be terrible.
So you just have to, I think you have to just guide yourself toward like-minded
Well, you go with your
people.
own moral compass
Yeah,
as well of
exactly.
what makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, let me ask you a question. So, are there limitations on what you will talk to people about and how you'll touch people when you're working?
Actually, that's a great question because I'm extremely open. I will, if you start talking to me about something super personal, I will go there. I'm not offended by things. So maybe I'm not even the right person to be interviewing.
you
'cause
are the
I
right
actually,
person.
I don't get offended a lot unless you touch me in a way that is like slapping my ass.
Okay.
And being touchy-feely, I'm kind of okay with being touchy-feely, but there's certain ways to do it that
What are the certain ways?
I mean, if I need somebody to move over or something and I'm passing them, I might just tap them on the shoulder or something. I'm not going down into like the midsection. I would there's sections
small
of
of the back?
Yeah, like the small of the back or things like that. And I feel like it's just.
It's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain.
So then let
Guys
me,
mistake politeness for flirting.
Yeah.
They
Of
can't really tell the
course.
difference.
but so
Yeah.
then, like, when you do, if you are talking to somebody and they do take it to another level, let's say it gets off of the bar talk or about like the game that's on TV, and you get past like where you grew up and like your story, and you start talking about things that maybe are a little bit more intricate, or you banter about things and you're joking, like. When does he know that you're saying, "Oh, I would like you to ask me out. Oh, I'm kind of attracted." What does that look like on you? Have you had that recently, where you've been at the bar or even out in public, where you're meeting somebody and you're like, "Oh, okay, I think I would be into you." When you're open to being asked out.
I would say I'm a very aggressive woman, so I'm definitely a person that helps guys to understand if
You should
I
put
want
that
to.
on your Bumble profile.
I'm an open woman.
I think it is.
I'm an aggressive woman.
It is on my Bumble.
Is it really?
Yes.
Holy.
No wonder you get these guys. Okay.
But I mean, I'm the type of person that will send somebody a drink, and I will be like, hey, like, let's go out if you want to buy me a drink, or, you know, you can absolutely buy me a drink. I would even be the person to make the first move, but I know there's a lot of women that wouldn't. And so it's hard for me to say what that's like, because I don't know how they tell them that they were really into them and they would like.
Like, what does your
the
body
next
language
move.
look like? Do you get maybe fidgety, or do you maybe touch your hair, or get maybe
Are you not
nervous
as
if you
not as
start realizing you're liking a
aggressive?
guy?
Are you not as
Do you get
confident?
shy?
Yeah, do you get shy?
If the guy is more shy, then I might become more aggressive. And if the guy's more aggressive, then I instantly become more submissive.
Okay.
If you like
And
him.
shyer.
If I like him, yes. And I do get fidgety. But I will still keep a open body language. And I will, if we're sitting at a bar, I will turn towards him, and eye contact is super big. And just smiley.
I know for me, if say a guy approached me at a grocery store and I decided no, like I do not want to give this guy my number, I'll have one word answers. I'll maybe look maybe slightly irritated, but it's hard because then I'll say if I see a guy that I like, I'll look slightly irritated so he doesn't think I'm interested.
I know.
You know, so I do feel bad for the men out there.
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference, because if that guy that I thought was attractive and I wanted him to approach me, I would look away and maybe look angry, but I would definitely look up at him and let him know that's why I'm looking angry.
Right.
Versus if a guy was trying to talk to me and I'm friendly also, I'll go along with it. But if I'm just like, one word, that's a cue. If she's not engaging you further with more questions on her end, then she's not interested. And I think that's pretty clear.
How quickly do you guys think you decide whether or not you see somebody as a
0.001 millisecond.
Yeah, I would say immediately. And there might be that 1% that you get to know them and you're like, actually, I'm seeing something so different out of this guy, but that's very rare. I feel like the attraction is immediately, because it's more than just, that's why this dating apps are so hard, because
well, that's actually why it shouldn't be hard. 'Cause
I know,
see
but you
them.
But
can't.
there's no energy.
Right.
It's such a big deal, and you don't know.
The one guy that I became obsessed with off of a dating app was on paper, or his pictures, I didn't think they were that great. I was like, okay, whatever. We had really good banter. He seemed cute enough, but I didn't feel like, ooh, I'm going to be really attracted to this guy. When I walked in and I met him and he turned around, he was sitting at the bar. When he turned around, there was something that was just that chemistry or that energy that just hit me. And I was like, holy, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
And I was so into him. But based off of his photos, I wouldn't have gotten that vibe. But it was an in-person thing.
Okay. And how quickly do you decide if you want to be intimate with somebody? How quickly?
How long does it take you to get 3 drinks in you? And that's the answer.
0.001 milliseconds.
So, yes,
exactly the
that
same.
quickly.
I also think a first kiss is a big deal. If you could have a great date and then the first kiss is not good, it's really hard for me to get on a second date with you.
So you're saying that every stage that you're interacting with somebody is okay, let's get past this. You're looking for something at every stage. So, okay, do I have that chemistry with
And then
you?
it checks off. And then move forward, checks off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been on a date, she said, somebody that wasn't that attractive in photos and then turned out to be amazing. And I've been on the opposite where I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous. This might be the most attractive guy I've ever seen. And then I met him in real life and he was so intensely feminine that I was just oh
I was
my
saying that to her
gosh.
before.
I don't know.
I can't do this.
That happens all the time. I have met so many good guy friends off of dating online and dating apps because I meet them and they're like, hey, and I'm like, hey, and then we go buy shoes. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's really, I didn't know that because I was in a relationship for 8 years. And so I was not dating for a really long time. And then as soon as I started dating, it was every other guy was super effeminate. But I think
Yeah.
I was maybe I thought for a second, I'm is it me? And they just don't like me. And they're like, I'll turn on the effeminate so she doesn't like me. And this is
Maybe.
easy to reject each other.
Or just be my beard for a little bit.
But I realized, I was well, this is probably why they're single, because they might be gay and they don't want to actually come out, or
They're just feminine men.
effeminate men, and it's harder for them to connect with women. Because I will say, with the men that were more effeminate, we totally connected on like viewpoints and like fashion and whatever and all those things. But when it came to physically being attracted to each other, even if I found that person attractive and I liked their style, I couldn't do it. Like,
you couldn't see it.
Like, I just didn't feel it didn't feel like that masculine energy that I need.
And what is that masculine energy that you need, aside from the voice?
I'm surprised that I need it because my arms are so hairy. I should be like fine on my own.
Like, I got enough masculine energy.
Like, lumberjacking around. What do I need for masculine energy?
Yeah, like, what does that mean?
Well, so I think back to the guy that I was like smitten with, and it was there was something about him that seemed like I would feel very safe in his arms. Because he was not like a very petite, he wasn't super petite, but he wasn't like a huge man that just looked like he went to the gym all the time. But there was something about him that made me literally physically feel like I would be safe. And then there was like something to that had a boyish quality that almost felt like innocent and youthful, but strong. And it's such a hard, when do you see that? Like this like lumberjack man who also looks like a little child who should ride ride like a tricycle, So it's not a regular combination. It was really rare, and I think that's why I immediately became so
because Lindsay
fixated
before,
on him.
was saying that you are, dating right now, and there are some guys
Seeing one
that
in particular.
the reason it's not working so well is because
I definitely think confidence is like the biggest. Any man I'm attracted to is super confident, and also I'm 6'2" in heels, so I need to have a really confident man because I don't want to be if I'm feeling sassy that day, I don't want to look down at you and like be talking down at you. I need you to come back.
Have you ever dated a man that's shorter than you?
I have, but not like. We went on a couple dates, and he was actually very confident. And I've been on a couple dates with men that are shorter than me, and they couldn't handle it, and I would never go on a date with them again. But I feel like confidence is a big deal, and also with me feeling always like I'm a super aggressive woman, I like something that's really masculine is a man that can somewhat like take the control away from me a little bit, but they have to know how to do it.
This is the contradictory because
I know.
Before we were talking about like, okay, they have all the power. Mm-hmm. They can't express that they have all the power, but now you want them to express their power.
Exactly.
I know. Men are fucked.
I think the whole men and women, we both have like our brains are just crazy.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to the steps for you. So you're out on a date, you're interacting with somebody, or you've agreed to go on a date, which means that you're in some way attracted or curious about that person. So you go on the date, you laugh with each other, you have fun, right?
Yes.
And so even if you laugh on the date, have fun, doesn't mean that there's chemistry there. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. Because the one that I told you about that was very feminine, we had a great time, but I couldn't go on a second date with him because I didn't want to give him the wrong idea.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you.
And I just told him, unfortunately, I just don't have the same feelings. And I was very forward and said, I don't want to waste, your time. And I was hoping, he didn't text me back after that, which is fine. But I think it's really hard for both men and women to try to say that to somebody. It's because we both felt it on both sides.
Yeah. But so what are the stages? Like, what are the checkpoints that you're going through it's on a date? Like, kiss, check.
Yeah, and it's definitely opening the car door. If you do that for me, like, that's definitely a good A+. And if you don't do it, I will usually say, hey, I like the car door opened. I like to be very vocal with things that I like because the whole issue is men don't know this is the whole issue. They don't know what to do, and they don't know how women are feeling. So my one thing that I can give for women as advice is finding a way to say things nicely that you really appreciate and that you like. So it's communicating. And I think that's the biggest issue because like we just said, they don't know what they're doing. So just communicate with them what you like, and I feel like they can really respect that. But we also have to find a way to do it without sounding like bitchy.
Yeah, and that's a difficult thing for women because most often when we do speak our mind, it does tend to come across kind of bitchy.
Exactly.
So that's difficult. So speaking, I love that you speak your mind. Okay, door open. Number one. Check.
And then I feel like, taking me out, listening to the things that if I tell you things that I like, and then our next date you heard that I like to go dancing, so then the next day you take me out dancing, like really listening to to what I'm saying, and because I'm definitely a giver, so I need to find like a person that's also a giver. I can't be with a person that takes.
And you're also giving. Whatever you're expecting, are you doing back to men, or are you expecting it to just be like, okay, this is what you need to do?
No, I want to make sure that you know that I like you as well. So anytime you give me a little bit, I'm going to give you definitely the same amount. I think that's really important. It should be equal. You know, I feel like that's what we're all fighting for anyways.
So when you do show interest, you're saying you do give back in certain ways.
Yes.
So you'll also, in what way would you give back? So if he did take you like dancing the second time, how would you show at that time that, yes, I'm enjoying this and I appreciate it, here's me giving back to you? How would you do that?
I mean, if I was into the guy and that was our second date and I was into it, I would definitely be, I'd be dancing on him and I would put all of my energy into
sexual favors. That's what you would do.
But like the next date, would you say, okay, you really like football, let's go watch football?
No, but I'm saying like that's a good indicator. She just said, okay, if I was really like thankful and like was trying to say to you, I like you as well. It's horrible how it all sounds, but I would dance up on you. I wouldn't be like cold and dancing with other people. I would be there like present with you, making eye contact.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would absolutely be like that because I would want him to feel like
you're welcome.
Exactly. I would want him to feel like, okay, I would want him to be proud that I was with him and give him all of my attention pretty much.
Right.
So, and just show him thanks that I appreciate you listening to what I said.
Yeah. And so let's say at the end of that date you did have that first kiss and it wasn't like you didn't what? Or you did what? Like what are you expecting in that first kiss?
I mean, you're expecting that spark. And if you don't feel it, I feel like if everything else was amazing and you don't feel it from the first kiss, depending on how bad it was, I would probably give him a second chance. And then if the second time, because I feel like kissing can
sometimes be awkward at first.
It can, because people are nervous. But I feel like then if you go on a third date and you start getting more physical and things aren't aligning, then I feel like it's on to the next one.
I think the best thing is to just like funnel like 4 beers and then do the goodnight kiss. It's so much easier.
I mean, all of these dates
are in your mouth.
There's usually tequila involved, I feel like.
And then you say goodbye.
Yeah.
It makes it so much easier.
Interesting.
It's awkward.
Okay, well, this was very helpful information. I like everything that we got out of everybody on this special edition of our podcast, the Ask Women podcast, live at Zoosk headquarters, one of the leading online dating sites in the world. I want to thank our first guest, Sejal. Is that right? Sejal. Shoot. Sejal. GG. Damn it. Yes, and she's the VP of Customer Success here at Zoosk. And then Lindsay, who did my makeup and your own makeup.
And I just woke up like this.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's how you look naturally.
Work, I just wake up like that.
And you were wonderful as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being open with us and like giving us this information that we can pass on to the guys that are listening. And new episodes of the Ask Women podcast come out every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, except for today because I totally forgot to do it. But I'll do it tomorrow morning. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this live. If you're watching this live or if you watch it on repeat afterwards, thanks for sticking it out to the end. Please share this video with people. It's a really important topic that we're covering. Even though we didn't really come to a conclusion here, you did get to hear sort of how it feels on the female side and hopefully got some ideas about how to finesse and act moving forward with women without being scared and fearful that you're going to be labeled as an aggressor, harasser, or sexual assaulter. Anyway, you guys are awesome. We will see you next week or next month.